Absolutely. So I think everybody experiences transgenerational trauma. I think you can't live in the world without being affected by your ancestors. There's so much that gets passed down through the generations that is nonverbal, that is never spoken, but those messages are very powerful. Women are this, men should do this, all Italians do this. Like, we make these gross generalizations that get passed down in the environment that we live in, right? And so we carry cultural messages, and we carry transgenerational messages, we carry ethnic messages. So we've all incorporated those, and we've taken them on as our own because of the environment in which we live in. So they also can prevent healing from happening. They can block healing. So I think it's really important to address the transgenerational issues. In my story, I talk about the gifts and burdens of our ancestors. That's the way I like to think about it, because there were some amazingly wonderful things about my heritage and growing up as an Italian American. It was just amazing. There was such fun rituals and experiences and parties and all the things that were just so amazing that I wanted to pass down to my children. And there were some horribly horrific and scary and overwhelming and traumatic things. All this mafia stuff that I grew up with in my family was terrifying for me as a kid. So I think it's important to acknowledge both the gifts and the burdens of our ancestors, and how that affects the way we see ourselves in the world, and it affects our ability to heal. Because we don't need to carry what doesn't belong to us. And I think that's an important thing. Trauma, we release trauma energy because it's not ours. It's what we've absorbed because of our experience.
So beautiful. And so transgenerational is really, I wonder if we will ever be able to to do all the work of all our ancestors, and also sometimes I think the group we belong to, because sometimes also the groups, for example, the LGBT communities. I'm also a queer person, and actually, when I was reading your book, I was very fascinated by the moment when you say that you came out and your friends encouraged you to act as a proper gay person. So go out, don't fall in love immediately, and then, of course, you didn't comply with this rule. And it was interesting because, in fact, sometimes I happen to notice that the LGBT community, so we, in a way, it's so healing to realize that we are part of a community, because sometimes, but at the same time, I wonder if you agree with me or not, or what you think about that also trying to fit with that community and trying to belong to that community could also generate a new layer of trauma that what do you think about this?
Absolutely. So, in any process of coming out, for example, there are stages and processes that are important. The internal process of who am I, what is my orientation. We do a lot of work internally before we come to that moment of realization. Oh, I'm gay. This is who I am. And then there's the speaking it out loud. There's the telling the world. There's the coming out process, right? And part of that coming out process is what I call, or people call, gay immersion. So immersing yourself into a culture of like-minded people is a very important part of the process. In order to see who you are as an individual, you need to see yourself in relationship to a group, because you have to compare, right? Trying on all the identities within each group or organization, whatever that is. And oftentimes those groups and organizations, especially marginalized groups or organizations, hold judgment around what it should be or how we're supposed to act. So, staying too long in a way that's not healthy is also not important, because part of coming out is not only group identity, it's also individuation. Like, you have to be who you are in the midst of a group. You can't just be and conform to the group in order to belong, because we've been ostracized from the general public. And then there's this fear of being ostracized from the gay community if you don't conform perform and act the way you're supposed to. So healthy development allows for group identity and for individuation and assimilation back into culture and society, holding this new piece of your identity.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I think we need to work a lot, trying to find ourselves in our family, then in the group, and then
Yes.
in our new families. And actually talking about families, this is, we sometimes see a lot of, gay couples, and not only gay couples wanting children.
Yeah.
Also, you tell a lot about your children, how transforming it was for you to the very process of, having children. And at the same time, I was very impressed by something that you said, that is our children didn't give us what we wanted, but what we needed.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that was not easy all the time. So probably there is something, transforming that happened to you and your partner. And so do you have any recommend? Because sometimes I feel that a lot of friends and couples, gay couples, and they want, that, of course, obviously, and this is a wonderful aspiration and desire. At the same time, I wonder if they're really prepared to face this reality that having a child or children can be a very transformative and challenging thing.